Hello everyone, I hope you are all having a blessed day. I just want to come on here really quick and just share a little bit, little something with you. I am so excited. This is my favorite time of the year, and it is Holy Week. I've just always loved this time of year, even as a kid, as all the other kids were saying Christmas was their favorite holiday or Halloween or something. I just always have loved this one. Before I go on with my story, I do want to give you just real quick background of being raised in the church. So my dad is Catholic and my mom is Methodist. My sister and I were both raised Methodist, but we lived right next door to my grandparents, which were my dad's mom and dad. So Catholicism was, or I don't know what the word is, but anyway, was very big in our life as well. But we were raised Methodist, went to a Methodist church, did all of their, all their things. In my early 20s, I started to go to a new church. I just wasn't, and it's nothing against Methodist or that church or anything. I just didn't feel like I was being fed. Like I was no longer learning. I was just finding myself just going just to say I went to church. And that's not what I wanted to be. I wanted to grow. I wanted to learn. And anyway, so in my early 20s, I left my Methodist church and was in search of a new one, which I found. And then I met many people, and that church was amazing. Coming out of Methodist, and again, I liked my Methodist church. It was great. It just, I outgrew it or whatever. Sometimes we just need to move on to different things that work for us. Anyway, and it was a great church. In Methodist, at least the one I went to, I don't know, they could totally be different now. This is growing up as a kid up into my early 20s. I am now in my late 40s. So, it's been a big gap of time in between there. Anyway, back then, you had hymnals, you sung out of the hymns, and you didn't really sing the choir song, and you had to try out for that. You had a lady playing on the organ, and you didn't, you were quiet. You sat still and all that, or try to sit still. Anyway, so when I went to this new church, I was just like blown away. The second I stepped into the doors, I could just feel the holy presence. I mean, I could just feel it, and I knew that I had found my new church. So, and then they had a band. They were, and I was in my early 20s, so that totally resonated with me. They had a grand piano, drums, guitar players, and, there were this upbeat music, and everybody was singing along, and their hands were raised, and they just didn't care. They were like, listen, this is my Lord. I'm having time with him, and I don't care. And I just really liked that. And so we continued to start going to that church, and I got to meet some people. And one of those people was a dear friend of mine, and she started going there as well. Now, since then, both of us have moved away. I am now down in Florida, and she no longer lives in that area either. So anyway, we were on the phone, and we were talking about Holy Week and just, what we do and all that stuff. Anyway, and as we were talking about it, she asked me the question, what do you call the upcoming holiday? Do you call it Easter, or do you call it Resurrection Sunday? And I kind of paused, and I was like, Easter, and I kind of said it because growing up, that's all I knew. I didn't know it being called anything else. Anyway, and then I remembered my first Easter at that new church. early in my 20s. And I told her, actually, I have a story to go with this question. And she was intrigued. And by the way, she was raised Lutheran. Yeah, I believe she was raised Lutheran. Yeah, I think it was Lutheran. She can correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, and so she agrees with me, and she's like, oh yes, I grew up. Before I go on with my story, she says, oh yes, but I agree with you with the Easter thing. I only knew Easter. I never knew it to be called anything else, because that's what we called it in my church growing up. And I said, same. So anyway, and then she's like, so what's your story? Now, I'm in my early 20s. I have one little girl at this time, and it's Easter time, and I am just so excited. I'm excited that I found this new church. I'm excited how this new church is, and it's my baby is 1, and she's, I got the whole Easter thing going on with her. It's my first, and I'm super excited. She's wearing a cute little dress. I'm probably matching her in some way or fashion, and and I am just like on a Holy Week. It's the last day of Holy Week. I am on this like spiritual high, like woohoo, and again, I'm new at the church, so anyway, sorry, I thought I saw a snake next to me. There is one around here. I'm actually not scared of snakes. Now, spiders, that's another thing. But back on to what I was talking about. Sorry, I get very, whoop. Anyway. Okay, I'm back. So I'm totally excited. She's all cute. I have her on my arm. I'm walking in there, and I'm like, Happy Easter, Happy Easter. Anybody I see, the third person I go to. Oh, yeah. There's a lesson here, people. Yeah. Okay. By the way, this person who did this to me is a dear friend of mine now. He's probably going to see this and be like, oh my gosh, Summer, I had no idea. I don't think I ever told him. Yeah, I don't think I ever told him this, but okay. If you are watching, no hard feelings, seriously. But I learned something from that moment. So I have my daughter on me. It's Easter, super stoked. Happy Easter, Happy Easter, Happy Easter, third person. He smiles and he quickly gets irritated. Easter? No, it's not Happy Easter. It's Happy Resurrection Sunday. Okay? And I was like, oh. I instantly felt, I can't even I just felt so small. I wanted to leave his presence. I didn't even want to stand in front of him. I instantly went from whoop to whoop in a very fast time, And he then proceeds to tell me and lecture me and belittle me. At least this is how I felt. And again, this person is a dear friend of mine now, and and he just continued to be like, how dare you call it Easter? You should never say such a thing, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And I don't mean blah, 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 blah. I know. Listen, okay. I know that we are passionate for what Jesus did for us. It is such a beautiful, and oh my goodness, I mean, I just get choked up when I think about what Jesus did for us. So I get it, but how it left me. So he went on his way. I instantly wanted to leave. And I will be honest with you, if I didn't have my baby girl on the side of me and my husband at the time was there, if I was there by myself, if I was a newcomer, actually I was a newcomer because this was my first Easter there. And if I was a prodigal, somebody who was leaving, but I'm coming back to church, or if I, and again, if I would have been by myself, I would have left. That's how I felt. I just felt horrible. He made me feel so bad. And since this was my first Easter at this church, I just assumed this was my mistake. This is my own thinking. I just assume now everybody at this church thinks this way, okay? And now I feel like they all know about me. I don't know, like there's like, but so I handed my baby to my husband at the time, and I go into the bathroom, and he can tell that I'm choked up, but I just have to quickly go to the bathroom. And I just had like tears coming down my eyes, and I just felt humiliated. I felt ashamed. I felt everything. I was like, I didn't even want to be at church. I was instantly thinking this was a mistake, and maybe I don't know God like I thought I did. Oh, but I never knew it was ever called Resurrection Sunday. I had never heard of that before. And so anyway, I come out, and I grab my baby again, and I go instantly to sit in the pews. And I refuse to talk to anybody. Like, I was just like, And my husband at the time was like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. And I told him, I just got lectured. I guess this church, okay, again, I just assumed. Like, I guess this church calls it Resurrection Day. Don't say Easter to anybody, And I kind of briefly told him what happened. And after that, if anybody came up to me, I would just say hi. And I would wait for them. If they said Happy Easter or Happy Resurrection or Blessed Resurrection Sunday, I would be like, you too. Like, I ain't saying nothing. I'm not getting lectured again. I'm not going to be made to feel a fool again. No, thank you. So, as I was telling my friend that, she was just like, wow, I can't believe you experienced that. That's horrible. And I said, oh yeah. And I said, it's funny, I had forgotten about it until, this fish just jumped out of the water. I told her I totally forgot about it until you asked me this question. And then, I was telling her how it left me just feeling really icky. And if I hadn't been raised in the church or had a strong faith, that would have damaged me in a really bad way. And, and then, she proceeds, just like, wow, and then she tells me her story as she went to the same church, as I said. And she's like, yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because that was the church it was my first time hearing Resurrection Sunday, but not in that, I didn't have that horrible experience. For me, it was just, the pastor going up there and saying, Blessed Resurrection Day. And she was like, oh yeah, why don't we call it Resurrection Day? So then here on out, she calls it Resurrection Sunday because she just really liked it. She's just like, yeah, why don't we call it that? Why do we call it Easter? So she does that, but she does not do it in a critical way. And she's like, I would never, Summer, like, down somebody like that, like what you went through. And then she said, and then she remembered a story, my friend on the phone. For the sake of, I don't want to share anybody's names or nothing, we'll just call her Susie Moosey. Susie Moosey, who I was talking on the phone with, she tells me how she just recently had told somebody, hey, what are you doing for Resurrection Sunday? And she said that that person looked at her like, what? Like, huh? And she could tell that her friend instantly was feeling judged, instantly feeling like, oh my gosh, wait, is this what we're supposed to call it? I call it Easter. Wait, are you talking about Easter? And she said that her friend was kind of confused, and then she goes, oh yeah, and then she explained how the church we went to called it Resurrection Sunday, and she just really liked that and resonated with her, and she wishes that we all just did. So she continues to call it that. Her friend then said, oh my goodness, that's so awesome. I actually really like that. I might change that, but Easter is just very familiar to me. So, and then her friend said, well, I do know that Easter is his resurrection day. So Anyway, and my friend was like, Susie Moosey was like, oh, that's, but she made her feel safe. And then they end up having a long conversation about it, a very healthy one. And there was no one left feeling icky. No one left feeling like they weren't enough. No one left feeling that they were stupid or dumb or belittled or anything like that. Instead, her friend actually wanted to go to a Bible study on Easter so that she could learn more about Holy Week, because she didn't even realize that this was Holy Week, like the whole week. She just thought it was Palm Sunday and then Easter. So because of my friend Susie Moosey, she's probably going to laugh like, oh, thanks for the name, Summer. Because she did it in such a loving, kind way, unjudgmental, and teachable and loving and kind, and was okay that her friend called it Easter. Her friend was able to grow in her faith, and now she calls it Resurrection Sunday, and she's happy to as well. But so I'm just curious, what do you call this holiday? Do you call it Easter? Do you call it Resurrection Day? Were you raised, and why? Were you raised like me, where that's all I knew was Easter? Or were you raised where all you knew was Resurrection Sunday? Or were you like my friend and I, where we, for the first time, heard it Resurrection Day or Sunday, and then liked it and then changed? Or like me, where I did hear it, I like that, but I still go with Easter. Anyway, I'm just curious. Let me know. I just love to hear other people's stories. But there's a lesson in this that I want us all to learn. Hopefully we can learn and learn together, with this upcoming holiday. Let's remember that not everybody who walks in that church is in the same path that you are, or has been raised in church. If you come up to somebody and they wish you a happy Easter, just be kind. And if you don't feel comfortable saying Easter because of all the paganism and all that, then just wish them a happy, a blessed Resurrection Sunday. But there's no need to criticize, judge, point your finger, and make them feel small. And because you never know who that person is that you are running into, and vice versa. If you run into somebody and you're like, happy Easter, and they're like, blessed Resurrection Day, don't look at them like, oh, aren't you a holy roller? Oh, I see. Okay, let's not judge one another. Let's be kind. Let's be understanding. Let's learn. And because we just never know who we're going to come up against. If we're going to come up, the holiday is the time where family members come to church who normally would not come to church. And in my story, at this time, this gentleman did not know me. He knows me now. We're really good friends. He did not know me. He didn't, for all he knew, I could have been a prodigal. Right? I could have been somebody who didn't want to come to this church, but I'm remembering and I'm being pulled from the Lord, and that would have crushed me. I could have been a new person, never grown up in church, didn't know anything about it, and that would have crushed me. And it just, examples just go on and on, etc., etc. But anyway, let's just take this opportunity to spread the word, to be kind, to be loving. Let's remember Jesus each and every day, not just on Holy Week, but on other days as well. I wish you all a blessed Easter or a blessed Resurrection Sunday, whatever you call it. I wish you a blessed one, and I hope you have a good one. Let me know in the comments what you call it and why. I'm really interested in learning. And if you have a similar story as mine or a little bit different, I'd love to hear it as well. Thank you, everybody. And don't forget, Jesus loves you.